The Crusades, spanning over 200 years, are often remembered for their religious conflict and violent battles between Christians and Muslims. While the wars themselves were bloody and intense, their legacy goes far beyond just the clash of armies. The Crusades brought about a series of unexpected changes that transformed trade, culture, science, and politics across the globe. In this video, we're diving into the surprising ways the Crusades altered the course of history and had lasting effects that we still feel today. Let's start with global trade. When the Crusaders ventured into the Middle East, they were exposed to a world much more advanced than their own. Cities like Baghdad, Damascus, and Cairo were thriving centers of trade and culture. The Crusaders encountered luxurious goods like spices, silk, and perfumes, but they also learned new ways of conducting business. European merchants, who had been limited to local and regional trade, were suddenly introduced to a much broader world of commerce. This encounter didn't just impact the wealth of Europe, it expanded trade networks and created new economic opportunities. The Crusades helped open up vital trade routes between Europe and the Middle East. These routes allowed for the exchange of goods, but also ideas, including technologies and inventions. Spices, textiles, and even paper, which had been a significant invention of the Islamic world, started to flow into Europe. The influx of these new goods ignited the Renaissance and set Europe on a path of cultural and scientific growth. In fact, the Crusades laid the groundwork for later global exploration, as European nations began to look outward to expand trade even further. Another surprising consequence of the Crusades was the cultural exchange between the East and West. During the wars, the Crusaders came into contact with Islamic scholars who were far ahead of Europe in many fields like mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The Crusaders brought back books and manuscripts containing ancient knowledge that had been lost in Europe during the Dark Ages. This included works of Greek philosophers, as well as advancements in science and medicine from the Islamic world. One of the most notable examples is the Arabic numeral system, which was introduced to Europe during the Crusades. Before this, Europeans used Roman numerals, which were inefficient for complex calculations. The introduction of Arabic numerals, especially the concept of zero, revolutionized mathematics and helped fuel Europe's later advancements in science and engineering. The Crusades also introduced technological innovations that would shape the course of European history. As Crusaders interacted with the advanced Muslim world, they learned about inventions such as the astrolabe, a navigational tool that helped sailors determine their position at sea. This knowledge would later play a crucial role in the Age of Exploration, as European explorers like Columbus and Vasco da Gama used these tools to navigate unknown waters and discover new lands. In addition to expanding trade and spreading knowledge, the Crusades had a profound effect on the political structure of Europe. Before the Crusades, Europe was dominated by a feudal system, a decentralized society in which local lords held power over their territories. But the Crusades shifted the balance of power in surprising ways. When knights returned from the Crusades, they often came back with new ideas and a sense of personal power. Many of these knights had accumulated wealth and influence during their campaigns, and they used this newfound status to challenge the power of the local lords. This created a rise in centralized monarchies, as kings began to consolidate power. They realized that the Crusades had weakened the feudal system, and they seized the opportunity to centralize authority, establishing stronger, more unified nations. The weakening of feudalism and the strengthening of monarchies eventually laid the foundation for the modern nation-state. The Crusades also played a role in changing the social structure of Europe. As more knights and soldiers returned home, many were unable to return to their previous positions of power due to the political and economic changes caused by the Crusades. This shift contributed to the rise of a new middle class of merchants and professionals who had gained wealth from trade. Over time, this class would become more influential, leading to greater social mobility and the rise of urban centers. While the Crusades certainly had profound effects on Europe, they also impacted the Middle East in complex ways. The Crusaders' violent occupation of Jerusalem and other regions left deep scars on the region. But, as time went on, the interactions between the two cultures fostered cultural exchanges that enriched both sides. The architecture, art, and scientific knowledge from the Islamic world blended with European traditions, creating new hybrid forms of culture that influenced both regions. Perhaps one of the more unsettling legacies of the Crusades, however, was the way they shaped religious intolerance. The Crusaders' brutal treatment of Muslims, Jews, and other religious groups during the wars sowed the seeds of animosity that would persist for centuries. This led to a legacy of religious conflict and persecution, which continued well into the Renaissance and beyond. The idea of holy wars and the belief in religious superiority became ingrained in both Christian and Muslim societies, influencing conflicts long after the Crusades themselves ended. The Crusades also indirectly shaped modern warfare. The military orders established during the Crusades, like the Knights Templar and the Hospitallers, were among the first to adopt military strategies and tactics that would later be used by armies in the modern era. These orders were not only military forces but also financial institutions, which played a role in developing early banking systems in Europe. Their influence in both military and economic affairs would extend far beyond the Crusades themselves. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more fascinating historical insights.